I, male 32, think my cousin, male 41, is trying to manipulate my dying aunt into changing her will while she's on heavy medication. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I've been lurking on this sub for a while, and I never thought I'd be posting here. So my Aunt Eleanor, female 76, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer about 3 years ago. It really shocked our family. She's always been there for everyone, especially me. When my parents divorced when I was 12, she basically took me in. My mom wasn't in a good place mentally, and my dad checked out emotionally. Aunt Eleanor has been more of a mother to me than an actual aunt. When she got diagnosed, I was working at this architecture firm in the city. Had just gotten promoted, actually. Typical timing, right? But there was no question what I needed to do. I took a leave of absence to move in with her and help out, thinking maybe it would just be for a few months. That leave eventually turned into a resignation because pancreatic cancer is brutal and she needed full-time care. Sometimes when she's napping, I still sketch building designs just to keep my skills from disappearing. Aunt Eleanor never married, but she built a good life for herself. She owns a successful art gallery downtown that she started in the 80s, and she made smart real estate investments back when properties were affordable. She has a Victorian house that's worth a lot now. My life now is basically just taking care of her. I manage her 14 different medications, drive her to treatments, help her bathe on days she can't do it herself, make soft foods that don't hurt her stomach. I haven't been on a date in forever. My Tinder account probably thinks I died or something, lol. But honestly, I don't care. After everything she's done for me, this is the least I can do for her. Now here's where things get complicated. My cousin Derek, Eleanor's nephew from her brother's side, has suddenly become super interested in family connections. Derek is that guy who always has a new business venture every time you see him. He drives a BMW. He definitely can't afford. Before Eleanor got sick, he visited maybe twice a year, usually when he needed money for his latest guaranteed investment opportunity. But ever since Eleanor entered hospice care about 3 months ago, Derek has been showing up weekly with expensive gifts she's too weak to even appreciate. He's constantly talking about family legacy and blood connections, and it's so obvious what he's doing. About a year ago, Eleanor updated her will with her attorney, Miss Patterson, who she's worked with forever. She told me she was leaving me the house, the gallery, and most of her assets as thanks for taking care of her. She's giving smaller amounts to other relatives, including some cash for Derek. I've never asked for any of this, and have told her repeatedly that I don't care about any inheritance. Though I'd be lying if I said I didn't occasionally think about how it would help, after basically abandoning my career and draining my savings. But that's not why I'm doing this, I swear. Last week something happened that has me freaking out. I left the house for the first time in like 3 days to pick up Eleanor's prescriptions and grab some groceries. I was gone maybe an hour tops. When I got back, I heard voices coming from Eleanor's bedroom. When I walked in, Derek was standing over Eleanor with some papers in his hand. She looked really out of it. Her medication pump showed she'd just received a dose of the strong stuff. There was a nervous-looking woman I'd never seen before, putting away what looked like a notary stamp. When Derek saw me, he got this weird look on his face, but then switched to his fake smile. He said something about finishing up important paperwork and called me Jackie Boy. I hate when he calls me that. Eleanor looked confused and upset, and she reached out for me. I asked what was going on, and the notary lady wouldn't make eye contact with me. She gathered her stuff super fast and left. Derek put his hand on my shoulder and said something about family taking care of family, and then left too. After they were gone, Eleanor was crying. She told me Derek had been pressuring her to sign new documents while she was heavily medicated. She said he was telling her that I was manipulating her and that real family blood should be inheriting her estate. She wasn't even sure if she signed properly or what exactly the documents were. I was furious. Like I've never wanted to punch someone so badly in my life. But I didn't want to upset Eleanor more because she's so fragile right now. The hospice nurse says she probably only has days left, not weeks. What's even weirder is that I've been getting these texts from other family members asking about my intentions with Eleanor. It seems like Derek has been spreading rumors about me. I thought they were just concerned about Eleanor, but now I'm thinking there's something else going on. I have Eleanor's lawyer on speed dial, but I don't want to upset my aunt with legal stuff when she's literally dying. The hospice nurse says we should just focus on keeping her comfortable at this point. What should I do? Confront Derek? Call the lawyer? I feel like I'm going crazy here. Edit. To clarify, since several people have asked, yes, I've been Eleanor's full-time caregiver for almost the entire 3 years since her diagnosis. And no, Derek hasn't helped at all with her care. Not once has he offered to take her to an appointment or pick up meds or anything. But suddenly he's family first when she's on her deathbed. Thanks for all the comments. A lot of you are asking why I don't just call the lawyer right away. It's complicated because Eleanor gets really anxious about conflict, and I'm worried bringing in lawyers while she's this sick will just cause her more stress. She's in so much pain already. But you guys are right that I need to do something. Some people are suggesting I'm making this up for karma or whatever. I wish this was made up. Watching someone you love die from pancreatic cancer while dealing with family drama is literally a nightmare. I wouldn't wish on anyone. Think what you want, I guess. To everyone asking about security cameras, the house doesn't have any inside. Eleanor always valued her privacy. Wish we had them now, though. Now for the first update. So it's been about 3 weeks since my last post, which honestly feels like 3 years. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented with advice and support. I read every single comment, even though I was too overwhelmed to respond to most of them. Aunt Eleanor passed away peacefully in her sleep 3 weeks ago. I was right there beside her holding her hand. The hospice nurse had warned me it would be soon, but I still wasn't ready. Nobody ever is, I guess. The funeral was last week. We had white lilies. They were her favorite, arranged around a photo of her from the 80s when she first opened her gallery. There were a ton of people from the art world who showed up. I had no idea how many lives she'd touched. Her cat Oliver keeps wandering around the house looking for her. He'll sit outside her bedroom door meowing. It's honestly heartbreaking. I've been trying to give him extra attention, but he's not really having it. The house feels so empty now. You don't realize how much noise all the medical equipment makes until it's gone. The oxygen machine, the med pumps, all that stuff. Now it's just quiet. I'm having trouble sleeping without all those familiar sounds. I keep doing these stupid things too. Like yesterday morning, I automatically made 2 cups of tea before remembering, and then just stood there staring at the extra cup like an idiot. I don't know why that hit me so hard, but I ended up sitting on the kitchen floor crying for like 20 minutes. So I was going through some old photos last night, probably not the best idea, but whatever, and found this picture of me and Eleanor in Paris. She took me there when I was 15, right after my dad moved across the country with his new wife. I was this angry teenager, and she knew exactly what I needed. That trip is literally why I became an architect. She just got me in a way my parents never did. God, I miss her so much. Anyway, the funeral was interesting. Derek, my cousin, basically appointed himself chief mourner, even though he barely visited her when she was sick. He was acting like they were best friends or something. Kept calling her Auntie L, which is so weird because she hated nicknames. Everyone always called her Eleanor. Always. He was telling all these dramatic stories about their special bond and taking credit for arrangements that I had already handled days before. Like, I had already picked out the flowers and the photo and the music, but he was acting like he'd done everything. Whatever, I was too exhausted to care about that. What really got to me was when I overheard him telling some relatives that he would sort out the estate situation and be generous once the dust settles. He was basically implying he was inheriting everything. I thought he was just being his usual pompous self, but later I realized he actually believed he had successfully changed the will with that shady notary. So a week after the funeral, I had a meeting with Eleanor's attorney, Miss Patterson. She's been handling Eleanor's legal stuff for decades. Miss Patterson told me that Derek had already contacted her claiming to be the primary beneficiary of Eleanor's estate. I told her about what happened with the notary and everything. She nodded and got up to retrieve a sealed envelope from her safe. Ms. Patterson told me Eleanor had been worried something like this might happen. About 6 months ago, Eleanor had security cameras installed in her study and was very specific about not telling anyone, including me. She showed me a USB drive with footage from the day Derek came with the fake notary. We watched it together and it was exactly what I thought. Derek pressuring Eleanor while she was clearly heavily medicated, and that nervous woman rushing through paperwork. Miss Patterson also played a video of Eleanor herself, made when she updated her will. In it, Eleanor explained she was of sound mind, detailed her wishes, and specifically mentioned concerns about Derek possibly contesting the will. She literally predicted everything. Miss Patterson also found out the notary is Derek's wife's college roommate who isn't even licensed in our state. I can't describe the relief I felt. I mean, it's not about the money or property. Okay, that's not completely true. I would have been financially screwed if Derek got everything since I gave up my career to care for Eleanor. But it's mostly about protecting what Eleanor actually wanted. Miss Patterson advised we keep the security footage secret for now, since it could be crucial evidence if Derek tried to challenge the will. Which, spoiler alert, he absolutely did. After the meeting, I started looking into why Derek was so desperate for Eleanor's money. Turns out his house is in foreclosure after his latest business venture, some chain of oxygen bars, seriously, failed with tons of debt. His wife has been posting on Instagram about their luxury vacations and designer shopping sprees while complaining about temporary financial setbacks soon to be resolved. What really hurts is discovering that Derek has been telling family members for months that Eleanor promised him the gallery, creating this whole narrative that I had somehow isolated her and manipulated her into changing her will in my favor, which is completely backwards from what actually happened, and people believed him. Family members who have known me my whole life, who know I gave up everything to take care of Eleanor for 3 years, suddenly think I'm some money-hungry vulture. I've gotten these horrible texts from relatives basically calling me a con artist. My Uncle Jim, Derek's dad, even suggested they needed to stage an intervention for the money-grabbing caretaker. My brother Alex is the only one who's on my side, but he's dealing with his own marriage problems right now, so he can't really help much. Derek officially filed a legal challenge to the will last week, claiming undue influence, which is so ironic it would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating. At first I thought he was just bluffing, but nope, he's actually trying to take this to court. I've been so angry about all of this, and trying to process grief on top of dealing with family betrayal is just, it's too much sometimes. I barely sleep, I've lost like 10 pounds, everything just feels surreal. But Miss Patterson and I have come up with a plan. Instead of immediately showing our evidence, we're going to let Derek dig himself deeper first. Let him make public claims, let him tell more lies, let him really commit to his story before we reveal what we know. Part of me just wants to blast the evidence to everyone right now, but Miss Patterson says there's a legal advantage to patience. Derek is already scheduling meetings with artists from Eleanor's gallery, telling them about his vision for the place. He doesn't even know anything about art, so that's where things stand now. I'm grieving the most important person in my life while fighting to protect her legacy from someone who's supposed to be family. I'm exhausted and angry and sad, but I'm not giving up. Eleanor deserves better than to have her final wishes ignored by someone who barely visited her when she was dying. I'll update again after the will is officially executed. Miss Patterson says we should be ready for a pretty dramatic confrontation when Derek realizes his scheme didn't work. Edit. Thank you all so much for the supportive comments. To answer those asking why Eleanor didn't just tell me about the cameras, Miss Patterson explained that Eleanor wanted my genuine reactions if something like this happened. She was worried I might accidentally tip Derek off if I knew we had evidence. Someone asked about Oliver the cat. Yes, he's staying with me. Eleanor made me promise to take care of him. He's currently sleeping on her bathrobe that I haven't been able to put away yet. A bunch of people are asking if I can just send the video evidence to all the family members now. Legally, Miss Patterson advised against this while the will is being contested. And honestly, part of me wants the family members who turned on me so easily to stew in their wrongness a bit longer. Maybe that's petty, but I'm not feeling particularly generous right now. To those suggesting I might have actually manipulated Eleanor myself, seriously. I gave up my entire career and spent 3 years changing medical tubing, cleaning bedpans, and sleeping on a cot next to her bed so she wouldn't be alone at night when the pain was worst. Derek showed up with gift baskets and left before any actual caregiving needed to be done. But sure, I'm the manipulative one. Now for the second update. It's been about 6 weeks since my last update. I've been meaning to post, but honestly, everything has been such a whirlwind between grieving, running the gallery, and dealing with this legal nightmare with Derek. First, thank you to everyone who sent kind messages after my last post. I still can't believe Eleanor is gone. Some days it really gets to me. I've finally started sleeping better though, except I still reach for my phone every morning to check if she needs her meds before remembering she's not here anymore. Then I just lie there staring at the ceiling for a while. These past weeks, Miss Patterson and I have been building evidence about Derek's attempted will manipulation. Meanwhile, Derek has gotten so bold with his claims. The guy has serious nerve. Last weekend, I was going through Eleanor's closet and found a box of handwritten journals she kept throughout her illness. She wrote about how grateful she was that I moved in to care for her. She also wrote about her fears, her pain, stuff she never said out loud because she didn't want to be a burden. There were little sketches of birds she could see from her window, and she had all these observations about me, like how I apparently hum the same 3 notes when I'm concentrating. I've managed to keep the gallery running with Sam, Eleanor's assistant. I never thought I'd enjoy the art world, but seeing why Eleanor loved each piece is comforting. Sam's been teaching me about the artists and their stories. Yesterday, I cooked Eleanor's lasagna recipe before the big confrontation. She used to make it every Sunday when I lived with her as a teenager. I ended up eating half the pan standing over the sink at midnight because I was too nervous to actually sit down. While I've been grieving, Derek has been acting like he already owns everything. He's been telling artists at the gallery about his vision changes, which mainly involve selling the valuable pieces and replacing them with his wife's friend's digital art. He contacted Eleanor's financial advisor about liquidating investments. He even brought a realtor to evaluate the house while I was at the grocery store. I came home with bags of food to find some stranger measuring the living room windows. His wife has been pinning renovation ideas for their new gallery space on Pinterest. I only know this because my cousin Jenna showed me. The board is called Eleanor's Legacy Reimagined, which made me want to throw my phone, and family members have been so awkward, asking when I plan to move out, or if I need help finding an apartment, as if I'm some squatter in the house I've been living in for 3 years while taking care of the person who actually owned it. So with Derek's legal challenge moving forward, Miss Patterson suggested we schedule a formal reading of the will at Eleanor's house and invite all family members, including the ones who'd sided with Derek. She said it would be most effective this way. I trusted her judgment but was honestly terrified of facing everyone. I was so nervous getting ready. Miss Patterson seemed so calm and professional when she arrived that I started second-guessing everything. What if our evidence wasn't as strong as we thought? What if Derek somehow managed to twist things again? When Derek arrived, I noticed his brand new watch, a Tag Heuer that had to be at least $5, which seemed pretty bold for someone claiming financial hardship. His wife was wearing new designer shoes too, already spending the inheritance they thought was coming, I guess. Miss Patterson called everyone to order in Eleanor's formal living room around 2 p.m. Derek sat front and center with his wife and several supportive relatives flanking him. I sat quietly off to the side, which seemed to please Derek, like he thought I'd already accepted defeat. Before Miss Patterson could even start properly, Derek made a comment about returning the gallery to family management while looking directly at me. I just stared back at him, which seemed to unnerve him a bit. Miss Patterson began by explaining that Eleanor had made her final will amendments a year ago, well before entering hospice care. Derek immediately interrupted and produced the document signed during Eleanor's illness, waving it around proudly. Miss Patterson didn't even flinch. She acknowledged the document, but asked to lay some groundwork first. Then she connected her laptop to the TV and explained that Eleanor had left a video testament. The room went completely silent as Eleanor appeared on screen. She looked tired, but was clearly thinking clearly and determined. She specifically mentioned concerns about Derek, who might contest the will, and then explained her reasons for leaving most of her estate to me. Derek shifted in his seat as Eleanor described his infrequent visits and multiple requests for loans over the years. She talked about how I had given up my career to care for her and how she considered me the son I never had. And then Miss Patterson played the security footage showing Derek pressuring a heavily medicated Eleanor to sign papers. You could clearly hear him telling the fake notary to just stamp it quickly, while Eleanor looked confused and upset. Derek's wife actually gasped and moved slightly away from him on the couch. The final video showed Eleanor specifically invalidating any changes made during her illness, stating that she was concerned about being pressured while on medication. The aftermath was intense. Derek tried to claim innocence at first, saying I had somehow manipulated the footage, but then his own wife asked him to stop lying, which shut him up pretty quick. You should have seen the family members' faces change from skepticism to shock as Ms. Patterson showed evidence of the fraudulent notary, medical records confirming Eleanor was on strong pain medication that day, and a timeline of Derek's money problems coinciding with his sudden interest in Eleanor's estate. Derek made one last desperate attempt to paint himself as concerned about family legacy. Before his wife admitted their friend wasn't actually a licensed notary and had been promised a generous gift for her help. They left in disgrace, and there was this uncomfortable silence before Uncle Jim, Derek's dad, apologized for his son. That was unexpected. I feel vindicated, but family relationships are still strained. I don't feel totally happy about Derek's downfall. Okay, that's not completely true. Watching him realize he was screwed was pretty satisfying after everything he put me through. But seeing my family members' faces when they realized they'd been deceived was actually kind of sad. These are people who've known me my whole life, and they believed I was some kind of con artist. Most family members have apologized now, but some still maintain this uncomfortable distance. I think they still don't believe me. Or maybe they're just embarrassed they got fooled. I don't know. Miss Patterson has executed the will as Eleanor intended, with me inheriting the majority of the estate. We filed police reports regarding the attempted fraud, but I'm still uncertain about pressing charges. I mean, Derek is still family despite everything, and he's got kids. But then I remember him standing over Eleanor while she was drugged and confused, and I get angry all over again. I'm focusing on honoring Eleanor's legacy now. I'm creating a foundation in her name to support cancer patients and their caregivers. The gallery will stay open, with a portion of profits going to the foundation. I'm even considering returning to architecture part-time, working on designs for a cancer support center as my first project back in the field. After everyone else left the will reading, Aunt Margaret, who had been one of Derek's biggest supporters, approached me. She awkwardly offered condolences again, avoiding eye contact the whole time. I thanked her stiffly, not sure what she wanted. She admitted she should have known better than to believe Derek, and I acknowledged that he can be very convincing when he wants to be. Then she revealed something interesting. Apparently, Derek had approached multiple family members with loans and investment schemes in the weeks before and after Eleanor's death. I realized his manipulation extended way beyond just Eleanor's will. She asked if I could ever forgive the family, and I honestly told her I don't know yet, but I'm willing to try. She hugged me unexpectedly before leaving, which was weird but nice, I guess. After everyone was gone, I just stood in the empty house for a while, feeling, I don't even know how to describe it. Relieved, sad, angry, all of it at once. I'm still processing my grief for Eleanor, but I think she would be proud of how I protected her wishes. At least now I can properly mourn without all this drama hanging over me. Eleanor always said I was too trusting, but she also taught me to stand up for what's right. Her foresight and my patience led to justice, even though I'm still figuring out how to navigate family relationships going forward. Oh, and Oliver the cat has finally started sleeping on my bed instead of waiting outside her door. Small steps forward, I guess.